All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I'm gonna look at the wheat sector today, and I'll be honest, I was expecting a little more. I don't know if I'm just being a little greedy and wanting a whole mess of green candles, right? But um, yeah, there's some interesting things going on. The one that I think is catching my eye the most is CGC. So I've been rather bearish, rather pessimistic on CGC, but I think the last couple of candles are starting to make me wonder. But again, you know it if you watch my videos. I set a high criterion. I always say you should too, right? Like you want a stock to prove itself before it earns or deserves your hard-earned money, right? So I'm not changing my tone on CGC, but it's catching my eye. I will say that, all right? High tide, man. I think the biggest thing I caught on high tide's last video was that red green uptrend, right? So I'm gonna talk about that a little more because, like I said, I caught that one a little bit late on the last video. And then I'm going to add MSOS to this one. I was surprised how many people were really interested in that one. So maybe that becomes a regular one too. So excited to talk about these and more. But before we go any further, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can please subscribe to this channel, share this video online with your friends, comment good or bad if you disagree. I'm telling you, anything you can do helps me so much with these YouTube algorithms, especially if you can actually share the video. My socials are growing, but most of you have way bigger ones than me, and oh man, if you can just click that share, it does so much good stuff, okay? So let's get into Tilray, and again, I started the video with saying it, I'm going to say it again. I think I was expecting a little more. Maybe I'm just a greedy little person, you know what I mean? But there's definitely really good things happening here, all right? So I don't want to take away from that, but yeah, I think I wanted just a little bit more, all right? And I'm going to start up here. I think the easy place to start would be volume and talk about that, but no. I want to start here, and then I'll come address the volume shortly, all right? So the big story on Tilray had been the earnings, right? It was a horrible, big, bad red candle, right? And then all of a sudden we go from above all 5 trying to break away and fly to literally below all 5, potentially about to die, right? We get a nice little bump from that HHS, the health, whatever, rescheduling. And then lo and behold, we couldn't do much more after that, right? I started to say I'm getting a little worried about the fact that we can't get over the 8 moving average. Again, my worry wasn't screaming, fears or bearishness. I have been and I remain bullish on this until I see a big reason to believe otherwise, all right? I was a little worried that we were not getting over the 8 moving average, and that was bothersome to me, okay? Lo and behold, we actually get a decent candle that takes both the 50 and the 8. Oh, my kitty's at the door. Let's let her in. What are you doing? Come on in. Yeah, come on in. That was a good kitty. Okay, so again, lo and behold, this candle, again, I'm zooming in, right? You can see we actually do close above the green line, that 8 moving average, right? So this gets us over, this keeps us over, but really wasn't that good a candle, right? And then today, as textbook as it can be, we get a doji. Look, if you watch my videos, you know I'm not a pattern guy, whether it's candle-shaped patterns or like, wedge patterns, head and shoulders. Like, I'm not a pattern guy. I'm a break a line, lose a line kind of guy, right? But the doji candle is the one that just screams to me the most anytime, all right? Especially if it looks as textbook as this, where in a full trading day, you open at 203 and you close at the exact same to the penny 203. You can see it in the first 2 lines in the box over there. How in a full day can you not move a single penny? That screams uncertainty. That screams to me people are not sure if we're actually ready to stay over these 2 lines and keep going up, or if we should maybe go below them, right? And obviously no one thought we were ready to go as high as here, right? But overall, I like the candle. I do. Okay, we're actually still trying to climb. We're still about, not even about, we're above half of the biggest candle to the left, right? This one on the 16th right here. And really, I'm just looking for a good candle to make me believe, right? End of the day, I've been saying it for the last few videos now. This is our money line. You can see it in the box over there. The average 20, the average 100, and the average 200. The orange, the blue, and the purple lines are all within a penny of this 213, 214 line, all right? We need to escape these lines for me to believe. Okay, and I think what's bothering, and I don't want to use the word bother, right? Because again, I'm just a greedy little person. I think I'm asking for too much, right? Like this isn't bad right here as you look at it, but I thought the S&P 500 was going to do just a little better. And again, I say that as we're pushing all-time highs, right? I thought that the DJ30, the Dow Jones Industrial, would do just a little better, right? I did. Again, we're still well above the lines, right? So I mean, again, I think I'm just being a little greedy, right? But it's still looking good here. It is, okay? I want more. I'm saying it a bunch really intentionally, all right? Because I know when people say I'm bullish, you kind of assume these like strings of greens in a row, right? And look, weed's not there yet. Weed, it's just, we all know the rules are set up for this industry to not win, right? Like there are so many really silly rules, right? From no interstate, like I can't go from my state to, like, there's so many of them, right? The taxing, all of it. I'm just really focusing on the two facts really. I'm focusing on two facts. Number one, we're holding uptrend. I think it's fair to say, I mean, a lot of my viewers on these weed videos, you've been here. I've been in the weed stocks for a long time. Knock on wood, I cut loose once I got better at technicals. But believe me, I was trading weed stocks 10 years ago in 2014, 2015, 2016. You know, some did really well, went from pennies to dollars. Most did not, right? So we know how hard it is to hold an uptrend, and I'm glad it's doing it, all right? The second thing really is, even after a big bad earnings reaction, dude, look at this. We're actually holding. That would never, generally when a little bit of bad happens in the sector, it's like a little string on a sweater, right? All of a sudden you pull it and it just unravels more than it should. I am glad the string is not still like pulling and pulling, and lo and behold, we like lose an arm, right? So I'm focusing on the little victories. I am super sad and very greedy that it's not going higher, but so far so good, all right? So far so good, okay? The Germany thing. So I talked about it a little bit late. In a lot of ways, I'm talking about it a little bit late here, right? But this is basically what I've been able to connect. And again, I can't stress how grateful I am for this two-way street of info, right? The viewers, you guys give me, you girls give me amazing technicals and amazing news that I don't look at. And I'm here giving you stories from these colorful lines, right? But the way I'm starting to understand this Germany legalization is there is an anticipation of something happening in February, next month, right around the corner, that should ultimately be indicative of the actual final vote in April. Okay, so again, what I'm seeing in that is hopefully we'll get some good news. Hopefully, and even if, okay, so we have to get good news. That's a very important part of it, and I think most people are anticipating it. Hopefully, if we get good news, it does one of two things. Either kind of helps propel a buy the rumor, sell the news, where, ooh, February, this looks good, something should happen in April, rumor, let me buy. The other thing is, again, I sincerely believe the more good headlines that can compound this year for weed is just ultimately going to do really well. You know what I mean? So again, I'm focusing a little more on the small victories on this video. I still think the big ones are going to come. And again, nothing's going to happen on Tilray until we really maybe get into this like 219, 221 range. All right, so let me know your thoughts, let me know your opinions. Man, you know I appreciate you so much. All right, CGC, again, Hey, really quickly, if you can please subscribe and share, oh my, it helps me so much. Okay, CGC, listen, I'm here to give you my honest opinions, right? I'm not here to be another rah fanboy. There are plenty of those out there on YouTube, especially in the weed sector. Okay, CGC, I have been very bearish and very pessimistic since this reverse split. I don't care if it's a 1 for 10 like we see here, a 1 for 2, a 1 for 2 million. Reverse splits are bad, regardless if it's 3 letters, 4 letters, or 5 letters, any sector. Reverse split is death in my book, in my opinion, all right? What's happened a couple times is CGC is trying to escape the bad that comes with the reverse split, all right? And if you watch my videos, one thing I often talk about is this 8 and the 20 moving average. Look, when the lines are your friend, all of a sudden you have this inability of going below the lines. Okay, again, you can just see it just jumping on it and going. But when they're your worst enemies, you just cannot get over the 8. Sometimes you can, you'll get to the 20 and you go back down. You can see how long of a struggle this stock has been under the 8 and the 20. Okay, so I'm looking at a CGC stock that actually more times than not, all the way from 23 till now, has been well below the 8 and the 20. A little moment above it, a little moment above it. Now, this one might be an understatement. It's a huge rise up, right? But in terms of time, little bit of time, little bit of time, little bit of time, little bit of time versus a whole mess of time under, right? So I'm here looking at a stock that's just come off a reverse split, that has struggled with the 8 and the 20. I still cannot assume we're going to get over the 20 moving average, okay? What I like, though, is the last couple candles, the last little bit of volume, and this MACD and RSI kind of divergence, right? But again, nothing matters until we get over the 20 moving average. And again, convincingly, right? I feel like it's a little high, but $5. I think this thing needs to close above $5 for me to start to believe. Again, I'm setting a high criteria, right? Like, my money is hard earned, all right? I love my parents. They give me so much love, so much support. Unfortunately, we don't have a fancy last name that brings on generational wealth, right? That, like, if I burn money, it doesn't matter. If I, want to buy more, I can just keep throwing in. Like, I have limited funds, right? I have a high criteria for a stock, for a random set of 3 letters, 4 letters, or 5 letters to take my money. And again, I think the $5 line here kind of is my emphasis of that. I still don't believe here. It's catching my interest, but hey, it did it here, it did it here, it did it here, and it failed them all, right? So I'm still not a believer. Look, I talked a little bit about the offering, right? I'm not a fan of the flip. I like offerings. I have no issues at all when a stock does an offering. There's a little bit of a back and forth on the Discord about offerings, and if they always dilute the stock. If they don't, that's a little homework I gotta do. But yeah, in general, I'm not opposed to offerings, but nothing to me matters more on CGC than this reverse split and how it reacts to the 8 and the 20. All right, so let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Let me move into high tide. All right. Really quickly, if you can please subscribe, please share this video. It does so much with these YouTube algorithms, all right? So a lot of people really liked my joke on the last video, so I am going to start with it, all right? So I don't know a lot about most of the, let alone, I would almost say all of them, but I know very little about the companies I cover, all right? They're all random 3, 4, 5 letter tickers to me. I've been covering this for a while. I've started to learn a lot about the company from viewers, and I found out that the CEO here is Indian, all right? My wife is Indian, and if there's one thing I have learned is Indians are built differently, all right? Like, not Native Americans, like Indians, right? Like, Indians have a higher expectation for excellence, all right? Like, my wife made me a completely different person than I was before I met her, because she was not gonna take my BS. She was not gonna take my excuses and this and that, right? Like, her level of excellence and my level of excellence were nowhere near the same, and sadly, I had to give mine up and adjust to hers, all right? And truth be told, look, every race has their outliers, right? There are goods in them, there are bads in them, there are horrible horribles and really goods, right? But yeah, I believe that about the Indian culture, and to me, and again, how many Fortune 500 companies are are Indian CEO led, right? So men or women too, I'm telling you, right? It doesn't matter. When I found out he was an Indian CEO, I gained a little extra respect for High Tide. I'll be honest with you. You know what I mean? So again, I don't know the guy from anyone else. He might be a crook for all I know. I know a lot of the faithful High Tides really like him, right? I always say I'm very pessimistic towards any executive team. I generally believe that they're all greedy and they all care about their bonuses more than our shareholder wealth, right? But yeah, I just wanted to start with a dumb joke. Hopefully I didn't waste too much time, all right? The one real big thing that I took away from the last video, all right, and I caught it towards the end. We made a monstrous climb right during the earnings move, right? Earnings, again, is right around the corner. Is it next week? It's next week, right on the 29th. So I'm not even going to talk about earnings doing this thing well, which I will in a second, okay? This stock goes from $1.30 something all the way to $2 something, almost adding a full dollar, almost going up 50%. All right, doing nothing but red and green, red and green, red and green, red and green, red and green candles. Incredible. I don't know if I've ever actually seen anything like that, all right? And if you watch my videos, what I try to do is give you some general guidelines, general rules that, hey, if you like them, rip them off. If you don't, just ignore them, right? But one thing I always talk about is you need 2 green candles in a row. You need 3 maybe to call it confirmation, right? High Tide knows how to move up on red and green days. It's actually a little crazy to me. But hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So as angry as I've been, and I don't know if angry is the right word, right? Because I have actually been very bullish on this thing for a bit now. But yeah, as much as I've been annoyed that I haven't seen the red, green, I think I'm starting to swallow it a little bit more, okay? The next thing I'm starting to see is it looks like we're using the 20 moving average. Nothing significant yet, but the one thing to note on this one, it's very easy to see. The only line we used up was the 8. And hey, we used it like a champion, bouncing a number of times, right? So I don't want to underestimate that. But yeah, we couldn't use the 8. We lost the 20 moving average like a knife through hot butter, right? So I kind of like the fact that we wicked it yesterday. You know, I care more about candles than wicks, but I like that we wicked it yesterday. I like that we almost actually hit it today and then came back over the 8, like starting to make me think, hey, maybe we can actually use this line more than we did on the last one, which was nothing at all, right? Yeah, RSI is going down a little bit. Yeah, MACD is a little bit flat, at least positive. Again, the whole story for me is volume. Volume has just been a little too inconsistent. Let's go back to the climb right here. Yes, it was the same red, green, but look at the volume difference, let alone the fact that we had some big green ones. Just about every single day in the climb was at or above the 50-day average. All right, I always say this 50-day average is like a C student in a classroom. This is not an above average line. This is the very this is a C, not even a C plus. You know what I mean? So volume is the missing factor here. I think if we had volume, the red green won't matter. All right, I think it'll come next week, it being volume. All right, once earnings happens, I think we'll see an influx of volume, and knock on wood, they deliver again. Look, I like a company that delivers good back to back earnings. I think it's been good 3 or 4, right? So let's make it a 5th one, and hopefully that's the one that brings volume. Hopefully that's the one that rides on top of all the bullishness on the sector, right? So High Tide, I'm still liking it. Look, on the weekly, there's not much. Oof, there is. I almost skipped the weekly. I think this explains a lot more. It does, right? We have not touched this 100 moving average line since, what is that, March? Yeah, since March of 22. Almost 2 full years. Nowhere near it, right? So all we've actually had is a doji. So interesting. I think the weekly actually helps explain why we're not taking off as much here. But again, I'm still liking this. I actually think next week should be very, very, very interesting. And I'll tell you, I'm leaning into good. I said it already. I'm going to repeat myself, but I like a company where you expect the CEO to deliver a good earnings again. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. This went a little longer than I wanted to, but let's talk about MSOS right here. All right. Really quickly, if you can please subscribe, please share the video. My socials are not that big, and it helps so much with these algorithms. All right. So look, I started the video on Tilray by saying I wanted more. I can't pretend I didn't want more, all right? But I am looking at a really, really good and healthy chart right here. And it starts with bouncing on the 8 moving average like a champ. All right. When the 8 is your friend, good things happen. When the 20 is going up with it, good things happen. You've got the 50, you got the things are curving up. We've still got a healthy 66 RSI. I'm still liking this. I am. Again, did I want this thing to smash this 909 and start going up? 100%. Did I want us to start getting into the red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 green channel? For sure I did, right? It's okay. It's okay. I'm telling you, it's okay, right? One more time, just in case you didn't watch the beginning. S&P 500 is climbing all-time highs, all right? Dow Jones is still sitting up here, right? Like the indices are still holding. That should help for all the tickers below it. And again, there is a lot in the pipes for the 2024 year, right? So to me, I as much as I would want more, as much as I know just above this $9 line is almost a quick, woof, what is that, 20%? Almost, right? Give or take. I think a little bit less. But yeah, I want to get over this. Once we're over this, that's when it's actually going to start, all right? And again, we can see it emphasized even more on the weekly. On the weekly, that 9 line, that 908 is essentially where the 100 moving average on the weekly is. No other moving average is above it. If we can get over that, oh my goodness, right? So, I think this is a slow and steady setup. It is, right? I would have loved it to do something like this, right? Just patience, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Man, I appreciate you all so much.